was the hardest lesson to learn for you, whether in training, real world, military, or civilian life?
Hardest thing to learn, I think patience was a big one, just because, you know, and you can look at that a lot of ways. You can look at that on the battlefield, you can look at that just in the organization, is the speed at which things change overseas is, you know, day to day. And a lot of times, you know, the bureaucracy or the organization you're in doesn't stay at that same pace. So I think developing the patience to not burn yourself out or waste energy trying to move things along you have no control over.
Right.
And then just
accepting the things you can't change.
Accepting the things you can't change,
right.
yeah. And then also just more on the tactical side is, you know, that first, you know, few times you finally get in a fight and you're like, oh my God, I've been waiting my whole life to do this. Like having the patience to like, all right, like take a breath, don't.
Let it develop.
Yeah, let it develop, don't overcommit, you know, because it turns out these guys might actually be pretty smart. You know, they're using flip-flops and AKs and slinging rocks at you maybe, but,
right.
you know, don't, you know, over-assume your abilities because you have some hubris behind your title or whatever. I'm fucking special. Like, well,
I mean, look at first engagements we made. We were making engagements with people, granted, fighting on a different tactics, fighting on a different level, but those people have more experience at fighting.
Yeah.
They had been in more conflict than we had.
Yeah, a lifetime sometimes.
Right, exactly, because you live in one of those areas where that's your world. Mm-hmm. It's the only way to make to have a profession. It's the profession to have. You want to make money for your family? This is what you do. Pick up a gun and you work for a warlord. Yeah. And you intimidate people and threaten people and kill people. It's a totally different dynamic from what we're used to in our society and culture, but that's their world. So we were facing an adversary that had done more of that than we really had at the time, more than I had for sure. I mean, I can only speak personally, but you know, as that persistent engagement stays, you know, you stay active with it, you learn those things. But you're right, that underestimation of your foe, huge.
Yeah, you roll in there like, we're SF, like, well,
yeah, you are. Yeah. Welcome to the country.
Yeah, you gotta being willing to kind of adopt that in like inverted leadership role where you're willing to make yourself, you know, the lesser so that you can learn from someone else who might know more. If that's a warlord, or maybe it might be like a PFC in the support section that did something before they joined the military and they have a valuable skill, and recognizing like, hey, I need to silence my ego so I can learn from this guy because he actually has valuable information.
I think one of the big ones for me too was like interpersonal. Our organization is filled with A-types. We sometimes want to choke each other as much as we want to hug each other, and it's a tough world to navigate. You know, you talk to the psychologists about what we do, and they'll tell you the same thing. You guys all fit a weird niche. You're like this tiny little weird part of a profile that doesn't exist. You're A-types, but you'll work with others in the presence of strong leadership. You know, without it, you'll eat each other, or you'll eat other people. But you know, you take that skill set and you move it to another country, or you take that skill set and you move it to an embassy, and now you're interacting with other folks, you know, different folks, not like us folks. Yeah. You have to know those interpersonal skills to be able to turn that on and off and be able to interact, or else you're either abrasive or you're not taken seriously, or both. Yeah. I think that was a hard transition for me, and I think that's one of the tenets of being an SF, is having the flexibility.
You're talking about going from civilian to...
Or even going from a military advisor roles into embassies and things like that, you know, when we would do tours, and just the interface you had to go. I remember I had to go to an embassy dinner. Never been to any function like that in my life. Yeah. What fork is this? Come on, we don't even have forks.
Have cheese, want peanut butter. No?
But I mean, it's that kind of social interaction. You know, the ambassador wants you to, you know, greet him in the line when you come in, and you got to say hi to his wife. And I mean, being nice to people is pretty easy, but these are also people you got to work with. You know, and I think those kind of interactions for us make it an easier transition, because I made that transition, you made that transition, we make those transitions into regular life after the military, and whatever you want to call that.
It's a relative term.
Yeah, whatever the shit that is. But having those correct interpersonal skills and understanding, you know, we got the benefit in our careers of having to experience cultural awareness at a different level than what most people do. You know, most people go to Jamaica to a resort and they think they have cultural awareness because they, you know, are at the Sandals Resort. in
What's wrong with
Jamaica.
all inclusive?
Yeah. You know what
I like being able to drink the water at the places I'm staying at.
Yeah. It's a big point to me. I'm a huge fan.
That humility is so important, especially just once, if you transition to the civilian world, because I think a lot of guys, they go from that, highly concentrated and structured lifestyle of like, I'm around all type A's, I'm around people that are on the same page as me, I'm around guys that would do the same things for me that I would do for them.
Right.
And you go into like the civilian environment and you might overvalue.
People want to eat you.
Yeah, well, yeah, so they're
Or that.
eat your face. But there's being direct and wanting to, be able to work on a team is very different, I think, in the private sector because, like you said, there's people that they'll smile in your face, they'll roll up their sleeves too to, help dig the trench, but then when it comes time to it,
You're going in it.
Yeah, you're going in exactly. Yeah, so it's just like you said, learning how to navigate those environments and not ever being the guy that's like, well, I'm SF. Like, okay, but who are you today? What is like? Got it. Don't ever be the guy trying to tell, clutching onto the high school football, telling stories about, the heydays kind of a thing.
Can't constantly do a Heisman pose.
Yeah.
Like you can't walk around like that.
Yeah, like put it down and keep moving. Keep doing stuff. Be proud of it, but keep going.